This program is underwritten by the generous support of Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
Firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. It's a regular town board meeting, 7 p.m. We're in the Activity Center, August 21st, 2017. Would you all please rise and join Councilman Brian Clements in saying the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We have several resolutions before us in the Board of Health, but we need to move into the Board of Health first. Is a motion made by Councilman Brewer to move into the Board of Health, seconded by Councilman Clements. All those in favor of moving into the Board of Health say aye. Aye. It's unanimous. We're now into the Board of Health. So the first item, please, Karen.
Okay, it's a public hearing on a sewage disposal variance of Samai and Melanie Gobriel.
Okay. Sema and Melanie Gobriel, or Gobriel, 66 Russell Harris Road, which is off of Cleverdale Road. We did a site visit on the 7th of this month. Variance for holding tank. So the applicant wishes to disconnect the original 5-gallon holding tank and replace it with 2 new 1,500-gallon holding tanks for a total of 3,000 gallons capacity. And Sema and Melanie? Yep. Yes. And we went up, we did a site visit, and I'll ask, but I probably know the answer. Why do you want to move to a larger holding tank?
The 500-gallon tank that's there now is the original one from 1953. It does not go into a field. It's a strictly pump out. Mm-hmm. And it's a very old tank, and I'm afraid that its days are numbered. You know, it's quite old, and we want to improve the location and put in 2 1,500-gallon tanks with the improved equipment and everything. So.
Okay.
We looked at putting a field, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, all right. And holding tanks, we know where it is and where it's not.
Yes.
Now, do you have all the bells and whistles on that? When it gets a certain capacity, you will be notified. There's a
alarm goes off.
Alarm?
Yes, that will all be wired into the proper circuits, and everything will be located in the electrical system, and we'll also have the lids on it, but yes, everything will be there.
Okay. Any other questions by town board members?
Is this seasonal residence?
Yes, 4 months.
Okay.
Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak to this variance application? Seeing none, are there any further questions for the applicant? All right, is there a motion?
Do you have to close the public hearing?
No. Sorry. Yes,
Well, it's to close the public hearing. And motion made by Councilman Medevere.
Just one question, John, before we close. Who's putting this in? Do we have an engineer that's going to be watching this put in and make sure all these alarms and everything are on there?
We're hiring Chris Crandall to do all the work.
Okay.
And
And we inspect it afterwards when they put it in anyway,
Correct.
Yeah, I
right?
think we have to inspect it before they cover it up.
Yep.
Okay.
Is that a second?
That's a second.
Okay. Roll call vote, please, Karen.
Mr. Clements?
Yes.
Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Mr. Medevere?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Approval. Good luck.
Thanks.
you.
All right. Okay. Public hearing, 1.2.
Is a public hearing on sewage disposal variance of Heidi Taplin.
Okay. Heidi Taplin. 50 Russell Harris Road. And we were up on the 7th. That was my second visit to the site. And so any questions that we had were pretty much answered. The variance that the applicant's asking for is the leach bed to be 5'9" from the property line instead of the required 10-foot setback. And the mesal bound, which has a slope to it, so it's not the system itself, but we consider the slope and everything else to be part of the system. That'll be 1 foot 4 inches from the property line instead of the required 10-foot setback. So we think it's...
I'm sorry, I don't know the protocol, but that is an error. We're actually asking for a variance for 4 feet
For 4
from
feet instead of
the setback. If you look on the
The
plan,
map shows 4 feet, Jim.
it's a 4 foot, not 1.4.
All right, I'll make that change. So
Excuse me, ma'am. Can you face that microphone towards you? Thank you very much.
is nobody from Jared Engineering here?
They are not, they were not able to be here this evening. That's why he was there on the
Is that just a typo, or is that?
It's from 1.4 foot to 1 foot 4 inches to 4 feet?
It's not, yes, it's not 1.4 feet. It's 4 feet from the property line,
Instead of the 10 foot.
instead of 10.
And that's what it does show on the plan.
Right,
As indicated on the map.
yes.
Nobody caught that. Okay,
Yeah, that's, so it's just a reduction,
yeah. Yeah.
So this stays the one.
Town board, any questions for the applicants while they're up here?
Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you for coming out.
Appreciate that.
All right, I'll open the public hearing. Any member of the public wish to speak to variance application 1.2 for Heidi Taplin? Seeing none, do I hear a motion of approval?
Close the public hearing.
I'll close the
I'll
public
make a
hearing.
motion to approve.
Motion to approve made by Councilman Brewer, seconded by Councilman Clements. Roll call vote on this, please, Karen.
Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Mr. Medivir?
Yes.
Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Unanimous approval?
Right.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we're going to switch things around a little bit, and we're going to do the Serini variance application, which is listed on the agenda as 1.6. The agent for the applicant is here, Dennis McElroy. All right. Sharon Serini is also here. All right, this is located on 2934 Route 9L. It is, they're proposing 4 variances to put the replacement wastewater treatment system in. The absorption field to be 5 feet from the property line, the north property line, instead of the required 10 foot. Absorption field to be 8 foot from the east property line, instead of the required 10 foot. Septic tank to be 5 foot from the house instead of the required 10 foot setback. And building sewer to be 4 foot from the south property line instead of the required 10 foot setback. And this is also known as the Eagle's Nest. And this is the one that's up in the corner. Remember that, Brian?
Yeah.
All right,
Sure
this
it was.
town board have any questions on this variance application by Sharon Serini?
I didn't ask this when we were up there, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I remember saying it's a long distance from the lake. Do you know what that distance is?
Yes. First of all, I'm Dennis McElroy from Environmental Design, representing Sharon and Mike Serini on this. The Serinis are brand-new owners of this property, having closed within weeks now, and the first thing they want to do is improve the wastewater system for the property. So now the question is, the new disposal area is about 165 feet at its closest point to the lake. So that puts it back to what currently exists. What currently exists, and that's of questionable integrity, let's say, is still 130 feet from the lake. But as you know, that's a pretty vertical front yard. So the proposal here was to add an enhanced treatment unit, a Claris unit, which would be located adjacent to the house, and then with a pump tank that pumps to a new dispersal area, which is back in that northeast corner of the property. And we had done test pits and whatnot, and saw that that was a suitable area and a good location for a new dispersal field, which would go with that enhanced treatment unit.
So we ascertain how many bedrooms?
Yeah, there are 3 bedrooms. There's 3 sleeping areas. The only thing we can maybe guess at why that was is that the upstairs, which is a sleeping area, there aren't full height walls.
It's open space sleeping.
So maybe the assessment or the assessor, questioned whether it was really 3 bedrooms or what, but nonetheless, the Serinis have a 3-bedroom house and a 3-bedroom design.
All right. Any questions by the town board before I open it to the public?
No.
Okay, let's see. I'll open the public hearing. Any member of the public wish to speak for the sewage disposal variance application of Sharon Serini? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any last-minute questions by members of the town board? Board of Health? None? Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
Motion to approve by Councilman Clement, seconded by Councilman Medevere.
Close the public hearing.
I did close the public. You did? Yeah.
You did?
I don't think we did.
Yeah?
I honestly did not hear him say that. So, I'll second that.
I got this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
No challenge.
Roll call vote, please, Karen.
Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Mr. Medevere?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
All right. It's unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, next will be Christopher Mackey, which is listed on the agenda as 1.3. So the Christopher Mackey application, please, Karen.
Okay, so this is a public hearing on sewage disposal variance of Christopher Mackey.
All right, Christopher Mackey is on Corinth Road, part of Seton Properties. They have a lot that's 75 by 150. It fronts on Corinth Road, and they're going to put a building up, and I believe it's going to be basically a storage building.
Correct.
And they weren't going to put a bathroom in, but then they decided to put a bathroom in and so forth. And the sewer line's going to be going there, hopefully, in the near future. So they would like to put a holding tank in, a 1,000-gallon holding tank in from now. And the variance, besides the holding tank, is the 5 foot from the western parcel line in lieu of the 10-foot setback. All right. Dennis, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, yep, for the record, Dennis McElroy, representing Chris Mackey for this application for a variance for the use of a holding tank and for the use of a 1,000-gallon septic tank, holding tank, and that holding tank to be only 5 feet from the property line versus the 10-foot that's normally required.
Okay, any questions for?
I do.
Mr. McElroy? Yes.
I know this is a site plan approval, but why did we put the retaining ponds in the front, not in the back?
There is some in the back as well.
I just see the depressions on the, at the site. So there are gonna be 2 in the front?
Correct.
And 2 small ones in the back? Is that what they are, Dennis?
It's one along the back property line. It's somewhat,
Those things.
well, it's a shallow grass depression.
Yep.
It is required for stormwater management, and the front area has a greater setback, so therefore there's more room.
Gotcha.
And that's
Gotcha.
where we placed them.
Is there gonna be vehicles driven around this thing?
That
Or
is
is that just for the fire?
Well,
Oh.
there's a looped gravel drive, because you'll see that there's
Then there's no, I guess my worry is driving over the tank, there's no issue with that, you're gonna.
No, it would be a traffic
control
rated.
tank, whatever.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I had.
Any other
John,
questions?
we're approving all these with the anticipation of sewer going through there, which is what we all hope, but in the event that it actually does happen, are they required to hook in, or are they gonna have to?
Yeah, unless you give them a variance not to hook in, they're required.
So, and how long between the time the sewer is active and they hook in? Is it a year, or how does that work?
Yeah, there is a time limit.
Year.
Is it 1 year, Tim?
It's a year, and then they have to get a variance. I remember doing many of
They don't
them.
want to.
They've got probably a year to hook in, then after that, they have to get a variance for a year at a time.
I guess I asked the question because we have some situations on Route 9 where people year after year after year.
Remember, we did many of those, Tony,
So-
years back.
I guess they know that they're gonna be required to hook in, right?
Yes, and it is just a storage facility.
Yeah. It's really just a bathroom, a toilet, and a sink.
Right, and
For that particular use.
I don't have any issues with that. I'm just thinking that, we're granting these week after week after week. And what's the guarantee that they,
Well, if he's in the sewer district, he has to hook up or he has to pay like he is hooked up, one or the other. That's the law.
I guess that's the reason you're putting in a holding tank rather than a
Yes.
system,
Right.
because
It costs,
you'll hook in later.
yeah.
All right, well, let me open the public hearing. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak to the sewage disposal variance application of Christopher Mackey? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing.
Great job.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve made by Councilman Brewer.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Medavere. Roll call vote, please, Karen.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Mr. Medavere?
Yes.
Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next is Schneider. All right, which is listed on the agenda item as 1.4. If you'll read that for the public introduction, please, Karen.
Public hearing on sewage disposal variance of James Snyder.
All right, James Schneider, this is on 14 Ladd Lane, off of 9L, which is off of Lockhart Mountain Loop. Just west of Dark Bay. Now, this is the one where Councilman Clements and I went up and did a site visit. And this is the one, my memory serves me, that there's north. We're gonna move the bed southeast, 10 feet.
Correct. Correct. Again, for the record, Dennis McElroy, representing Jim Schneider. Jim is the owner of the property to the north. He is the applicant in this case on the property, the subject property, because he recently was able to purchase that property. So now he's his own neighbor. And the proposed system, again, he's a new neighbor. He knows that he wanted to upgrade the wastewater system, a new owner, I should say, and it wants to upgrade the wastewater system on that property. So we proposed this design with, again, a Claris enhanced treatment unit to be located on the north end of the building. Requires a couple variances there because of tank location in the relationship to either the house or the property line. So there's actually 5 different variances related to those components because they're close to the property line, close to the house. And that pumps up to a field located up gradient, and to be a step ahead of Brian, it is
Thank you.
about 110 feet from the lake in that dispersal area, where the existing one is probably in the range of 60 feet. But that dispersal area, as it's cited, is within 100 feet of Mr. Schneider's own well over on his property to the north.
So, and how many feet are we going to propose to move it?
7.
I think we can move it about 5 feet readily to 75-foot setback.
All right, so 5 foot, we're going to move it basically southerly or
Yeah, southwesterly.
southwesterly,
Correct.
5 feet.
Yep.
Okay.
So that would increase that request, or decrease the relief.
To about 75 feet?
Correct.
Instead of the 100-foot
And
setback.
it's variance 6, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, so 6 variances. Pump tank to be 5 feet from the north property line instead of the required 10. The Claris tank, which is the pre-treatment, and that's a Fusion 450 as well, right?
Correct.
And that's going to be 8 feet from the property line instead of the required 10 foot. The force main is going to be 3 feet from the north property line instead of the required 10 foot. The Claris tank to be 3 foot from the building instead of the required 10 foot. And the pump tank to be 2 foot from the building instead of the required 10 foot. And the absorption field, we're changing that to 75 feet from the well instead of the required 100-foot setback. Okay.
70. Where's the scale?
So, any questions from the town board for Mr. McElroy?
No, not yet.
He had talked about a UV system there.
Did you talk to Mr. Schneider?
I did.
Putting a UV system?
I did, and he would agree to that.
So we can condition that?
Yes.
A UV system in the water supply, or?
On his own water supply, on his private well, so that, because he's the one who's impacting
Yeah.
his own
Himself.
system.
But, I
so.
mean, that's not that expensive.
Yeah, but if he ever sells that, and he's impacting someone else, so.
Yeah.
Correct.
So we want to change this, Kara, in a couple of ways. I'm going to open the public hearing in a minute, but he's willing to move the absorption field southwesterly 5 feet, which will separate the distance 75 feet from his own well.
But isn't that,
And Mr. Schneider's
south?
northerly property, he's willing to put
UV disinfection system on his water supply. And the address of that property is 27th Lane,
It's gonna be nice.
Sevitts.
It's just 100 feet.
Well, no, that's 100 feet, but the well is, well, where's the?
100 separation, that's the separation to the well right here. On this one.
Yeah, but it doesn't even
It's a
show this
UV
well
what?
here. The well is
UV.
well,
Oh,
so the
more
well's
than
back
100
in
feet.
here, okay.
System,
Injection?
it's ultraviolet,
That's just
UV, ultraviolet
Yeah, not only that,
disinfection
but I think Shabbat uses the
for the
lake.
water supply.
Oh, no,
It's
his
way-
wells are up.
It's way away from
Yeah,
here,
yeah. Okay, any other questions before I open the public hearing? All right, allow me to open the public hearing. Any member of the public wish to speak by the sewage disposal variance application of James Schneider? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Now, before we move to motions, Kara, were you able to help me out here? And I think number 6, we just scratch 70 and make it 75.
Right, and then I would suggest that after, where it says on the property located at 14 Lad Lane in the town of Queensbury, being tax map number, after that, put conditioned on the installation of a UV disinfection system for the water supply.
Yes, is it for
For
12?
27th Lane.
For,
12 Lad Lane?
No, it's
20.
27th.
27th.
It's a different access to his
Okay.
property.
Oh, okay.
27th.
So the disinfection system will go on
Yes, I believe.
Lane?
7th, SCBB, 7th Lane. Yeah, here it is. S-E-V-I-T-S, 7th Lane.
1T. Yep.
S-E-V-I-T-S,
Oh.
7th Drive.
Drive.
All right, and the tax ID number will be 239.18-1-19. That's the property that has to put the UV system, the UV disinfection system on his water line. All right, well, after making those adjustments, we open the public hearing, we close the public hearing. Everyone understand how this
I'll make a
application
motion to approve as amended.
as amended? Second? Seconded by Councilman Clements. The original motion made by Councilman Brewer. Roll call vote.
Mr. Medivere?
Yes.
Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes. Okay, unanimous. Thank you. Next is going to be on the agenda is 1.6. Or it's now, it was at 1.5. Now it's the 6th one, but it's Catherine Seeley's, just so we're on the same page. Karen, would you read that for the public?
Sure, public hearing on sewage disposal variance for Catherine Seeley.
All right. Catherine Seeley is requesting, it's 14 Crooked Tree Drive, and that's east of Dark Bay, east side of Dunham's Bay. Placement of a septic tank to be located 4 feet from the dwelling in lieu of the required 10-foot setback. And it's an Elgin system, and Dennis McElroy is representing the applicant. Dennis, you want to?
Thank you, John. Yes. Catherine Seeley is the owner of this property and is proposing through zoning and planning an addition to that existing residence. You can see on the plan, it's that structure, that addition that's approximately 14 by 16 foot added to the east side of the property. She's hoping to get approval to be able to have a downstairs bedroom. Because the existing system that serves the residents has a septic tank that would be in conflict with that new foundation area, we need to move the septic tank and the septic tank location that can be moved because there is an adjacent pump tank is as shown on our plan. And that would then necessitate relief from the 10-foot setback to the dwelling to approximately 4 feet. The system itself, the dispersal area, the existing absorption field would remain as is, the pump tank would remain as is, and it's just a matter of relocating that septic tank so it fits.
Yeah. It's going to be a new septic tank, and you're going to take the old one, and even if you could save it, you're not going to bother with that in case it does get damaged.
Right.
Any other questions from town board for the applicant before I open the public?
No.
All right, allow me to open the public hearing. Is there any member of the public that would like to speak to the sewage disposal variance application of Catherine Seeley, 14 Crooked Tree Drive? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing.
Dennis, do you test these Elgin systems? Would you test the Elgin system before you do all this work to make sure it's still working properly or not?
Well, the way of testing any in-ground system would be able to have some monitoring well, which you'd capture that groundwater down gradient of the field. We haven't done that, no.
I mean, are you comfortable? Because I've heard
yes,
through the years that these systems just fail more than most.
I mean, well, any system technically has a lifetime to it. The Elgin systems have been used in this area since 1999. I haven't experienced or know of any that have failed. But again, any system can fail under improper operation or design, put in the wrong location or the conditions. But I feel confident of this system as it's been operated. While this house is year-round capable, it's not used year-round. So.
All right, we're looking for a second.
Introduction.
Introduced, anyone want to introduce a motion to approve? Introduced by Councilman Medevere, seconded by Councilman Clements. All right, roll call vote on this, please.
Mr. Clements?
Yes.
Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
Mr. Strauss?
Yes.
Mr. Medevere?
Yes.
All right, unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We have one more item before the Board of Health. It's listed on your agenda as 1.7. Karen?
Okay, this is a resolution setting a public hearing on sewage disposal variance of Joseph Orlo.
All right, Joe Orlo lives on 11 Wagon Trail. Consulting engineer is Gary Robinson. We're just setting a public hearing for this tonight. The public hearing will be September 11th. Mr. Orlo was before us before with a system and required a lot of variances that this board went over and reviewed the site and asked him to put in a holding tank instead. So he's offering to put in a 2,000-gallon holding tank, which, given the constraints of the lot in of itself, still requires 7 variances. That the holding tank will be 40 foot from the well instead of the required 50-foot setback. 4 foot from the house, the holding tank 4 foot from the house instead of the required 10-foot setback. Holding tank to be 4 foot from the property line instead of the required 10 foot. Well to be 25 foot from the neighbor's well, dry well, a seepage pit, instead of the required 150-foot setback. The well is going to be 56 feet from the neighbor's dry well, seepage pit, instead of the required 150-foot setback. The well to be 119 feet from the neighbor's dry well, seepage pit, instead of the required 150-foot setback. And the well to be 131 feet from the neighbor's dry well, seepage pit, instead of the required 150-foot setback. In any event, there's going to be a public hearing on this September 11th if the board sets that public hearing. Is there a motion to set the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to set it for 9/11.
All right. Motion made by Councilman Brewer.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Medavere. Roll call vote on this, please, Karen.
Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Mr. Medivere?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
All right. Those are the items before us as a Board of Health.
Make a motion to move out of Board of Health.
Motion made to move out of the Board of Health by Councilman Brewer.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Clements. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. We're out of the Board of Health. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing. And Karen, if you read to the public what the public hearing's about?
Sure. Public hearing, local law amending local law number 7 of 1986 regarding the establishment of no parking regulations on Cloverdale Road.
All right, some time ago, maybe, I don't know, Tony, you want to take this one, or do you want me to?
This has been an ongoing issue for a couple of years where there's no parking except for Sunday between 9 and 11 up on Cloverdale Road in front of the church. And an individual up there has repeatedly requested that we go up and look at the situation, because she indicates that when church is going on, cars park on either side of the road and you can't get through. I personally did visualize this, that people, they park on either side of the road and vehicles can't get through there, especially emergency vehicles that are larger than regular vehicles. We didn't do anything about it last year, and then it reared its ugly head again this year, and John and I went up there and walked the entire property of the length of it where we felt there would be an issue, and decided what we would do is kind of create a situation where you couldn't park on either side of the road, on both sides of the road in the same area. So it would be jogged where you could still park to go to Mass, but you can't park on either side at the same time. So we felt at least cars could zigzag through the area to get through, especially emergency vehicles. And I am personally comfortable with what we came up with. I know that the highway department doesn't feel it's going to help, and frankly, I don't think people will pay attention to the no parking signs, but we're trying to do our part. I do truly feel there is an issue. I've seen pictures. I've been up there myself on Sundays to witness it for myself, that you cannot get through there. So we need to figure something else out. We're not saying don't go to Mass. We're not saying you can't drive to Mass. We're just saying you need to be a little bit more courteous towards your neighbors and people that live beyond the church, to let them be able to pass through that area when church is going on. So it's, you know, we've asked, and I know there's some letters out there that John's going to read, that I said to the women, why don't you just go to the priest and ask him to ask people to be more courteous? And she said he won't do that. So I don't know what the answer is. If people can't work together to, you know, help your neighbor, then this is what the solution is for us. There's no other way to say it.
So, and you have to vision trying to get a fire truck up through there.
Can't.
To the northern end. And if you allow parking on both sides, I think that's an impossible thing.
It's impossible.
So that's one of the issues we're trying to solve. So before I open it to a public hearing, is there any other thoughts or comments that the town board wants to make? Okay.
I just had a question. Do you know how many parking spaces would be lost if you did that?
Honestly, 6.
You have an idea?
Maybe,
6?
if that.
Not very much.
Not
I'm thinking
very
of
many.
you. Just
Because-
taking one off of.
Well, what we tried to do was,
Alternate them.
you looked at where people shouldn't be parking anyway, it's because there's people's driveways.
Right. And
So,
that's what we
okay, we're
tried.
saying, well, let's make that a no parking zone. Because if there's people parking there, they shouldn't be. You're blocking people's driveway. So, all right, so that clears that up. So what we've tried to do is alternate the parking as best we could and put parking where it seemed to be most appropriate.
And at the end of the day, it's not a significant amount. I would say a fair estimate would be maybe 5 or 6 cars that would be displaced by doing this, and that's all.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, so, yeah, Tony and I went up and looked at it and tried to analyze it. And that's why we have a public hearing, is allow the public to share their thoughts with us. I do have 2 emails here that I'll read at a later date. But allow me to open the public hearing on this. Proposed resolution establishing some changes in the no parking areas on Cleverdale Road. So we're looking at no parking signage would be located between 364 and 366 Cleverdale Road, at 359 Cleverdale Road, 351 Cleverdale Road, 361 Cleverdale Road. So it's alternating. Okay. Let's talk about it. Anybody from the public like to come up and share their thoughts with us? Yes, ma'am. Please identify yourself for the record.
My name is Jean Tarrant, and I am the chairman of the trustees at Lakeside Chapel on Cleverdale Road.
Okay.
First and foremost is we had no idea that anyone was worried about this situation. We've never been notified. You say it's been a 2-year thing. On Thursday, this was written up. We were never notified and only happened to hear about it by the neighbor, a neighbor to the church who just happened to be on your website. So we're wondering, first of all, why we weren't notified of this. It seemed like it was written up on a Thursday, and on Monday it's at public hearing. So that's one question I'd like to know. We aren't Catholic, so we don't have a priest, and it's not Mass. This is a non-denominational church. We have visiting ministers and pastors each Sunday, so there's not one minister that you would contact. There is a board of trustees, and there is a chairman of the trustees. We're there every Sunday, as well as probably other times, so if anyone ever needed to notify us, I think it's fairly simple to do so. We can understand a concern of wanting to get emergency vehicles up the road. That's not a problem. To be quite honest, it's sort of hard to understand what the weave is that you would like. Will you be setting signs up so people will know where they can park and where they can't? Because the numbers are a little deceiving. We're at number 360, the church is, and there are probably 4 or 5 parking spots right there, 2 of them, or 1 of them, 1 or 2 being handicapped. And those signs just go up on Sundays. We put them ourselves saying for church parking. If you are going to remove across the street from the church so that no one can park there, which is understandable if you want to make it so that parking is only on one side alternating, that would, that we understand, but we hope that we will then gain some places further up to the north or the south to make up for those spots. And it's hard for us to understand where it is you actually are saying there's no parking and there is parking. So that we just need clarification on that.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to act on this tonight. One of the reasons why we do the procedure that we do is we want to hear from you.
Right.
So.
Well, we'd love to have heard from you before now.
Well, I mean, this is part of the process. We're hearing from you now.
Okay.
I mean.
But what if we weren't here tonight and didn't know anything about this?
Well, chances are somebody would be here, and I've gotten 2 emails, and people know how to get in touch with.
Well, that's because of us that they've been told, yeah.
So there's some things that we could try. We could try and post some unofficial signage, by saying this would be a no parking sign here, and try it, and then go up on Sunday and take a look at it. We could go up and get North Queensbury Fire Department and somebody up there to evaluate their ability to access this based on current conditions or proposed conditions to see if what we're even proving would work. So, we'll see how the board feels, but
we're here to listen to you right now.
Okay. A lot of the houses don't even really have numbers on the street, so
Well, and
it's hard to figure that out.
We walked it, John and I did, and we came up with a plan based on, that we could hand over to the highway department, and they could make sense of it.
Okay.
So we're not removing any parking in front of the church. What we're simply doing is we remove the parking across
From the other
street
side,
from there.
right.
So it's open there.
Right.
And then we went down a little bit, and there's, no parking except for Sunday signs, and we moved them. So again, it's just alternating through that section so cars can get through. I have observed personally situations where you cannot get through on Sundays. And I've seen people park their car, get out of it, and walk into church. I'm thinking they never look back. It's the same thing, go to West Mountain on any given day in the wintertime, people park 3 deep. They block the middle car and then they just walk away. You can't be that oblivious to your surroundings. And I've seen this and have seen pictures taken where you cannot get through. So I was under the impression, and I apologize to you, that the church, or whatever you refer to yourselves as, has been, been addressed. And I was told that you refused to do anything about it. So my apologies to you and everybody on the trustees.
Never.
And, I'm embarrassed for that because, shame on me for not following up. But, this has been going on for 2 years.
It's just, we're there every Sunday, so it's easy to get a hold of us.
Every Sunday I get an email, it's here again. And so I just assumed that, and I've gone up there, I've sat up there.
Yeah.
And, not the last thing in the world I want to do on a Sunday morning is go and watch people park their cars. But, the problem does exist. So if you think you can address it in another manner, then we'll work with you. But if it continues, then we need to do something else.
Right. No, it's understandable. It's just once you get north of our church, there are a lot of driveways and there's not a lot of parking. Some of our people are elderly. We also do have the access to a parking lot next door at the Loopy lot, which is very generous of them to let us have that, and we keep it open so that they can get in and out and don't park. We park right where they ask us and all. We're just not sure if that's ever going to, at some point,
go away.
A family member may say that now we would like to take it back, and then that would be a problem. So we're willing to work with you. We understand about the alternating. It's just kind of hard to understand what it is. And then there's the $25 fee, and I just know we'll have to put someone out there to make sure people park where you want them parked.
Well, if we walked with you, it would make perfect sense as to what we did.
Okay, I think that would be a start.
Simple.
Just knowing about it is all we ask.
For example, if my memory serves me, across the street, across the road, on the west side of Cleverdale, across from the church, is shrubbery.
Yes.
And so you can't really pull your car over there.
And still get out.
Yeah.
Right.
It'd be even very difficult for who's ever on the side of the car towards the brush now. So I imagine people are parking away from that, which
and that's putting them out into the road more.
Situation. So, maybe some of those areas should be no parking zones.
Right.
All right, so, Tony and I can come up and meet with you and try and work out something.
That'd be great.
No problem. We can take a look at it.
That'd be great.
Can you leave us?
Sounds like that's the thing to do.
TV, but leave us your contact information?
Yes, I'll most definitely do that.
All right.
Okay. All right, thank you. I think that some others may like to speak, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I think I don't know whether it was you or Tony that said your idea about talking with the North Queensbury fire people. They would probably be good to bring up there too.
Yeah.
When you do it.
Well,
all right.
We need to know how wide a piece of apparatus is.
Yeah.
Well, a problem has been identified to us, and we're seeking solutions. This may not be the best one. We'll see. Anybody?
We can always open this public hearing and leave it open and then come back to it if we have to, and just, if you guys go up there and make some sort of a solution, then we just forget about this and we're done, right? Don't have to worry about parking spines.
Right. That's right, Tim. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Dick Young. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees at Lakeside Chapel, a Protestant non-denominational chapel at 360 Cleverdale Road.
All right, so Dick, it's Young?
Young, Y-O-U-N-G. Thank you for the positive statements you've just made. The idea of leaving this hearing open is a great idea until something is worked on. We appreciate the positive approach that you've just expressed now. You can understand how this came as a bit of a shock to us when we found out about it inadvertently. And so we're glad to know that there is an issue there, because we certainly would have been dealing with it sooner had we been aware. Can you please give us an idea of who the proponent in this is, or the complainant? Because unfortunately we're not aware of that. Had we been, we would have dealt directly with the person.
Oh, there was no direct email to me. And, you know, sometimes the complainants aren't comfortable with allowing their name to be let out, but I simply don't know that person. I mean,
and I do, and we can talk later on. I'll share that with you.
That's fine.
Appropriate to.
Okay, that's great. We just, you know, kind of got blindsided by this, as you can understand.
And my emails back and forth to her is that she's had discussions with you. So, again, I'm embarrassed by this, and you know, shame on me for not doing more on my part. But. You know.
And indeed, we don't mean to embarrass you. We're just, you know, so blindsided by this whole thing that we really would like to understand it better.
I did it to myself. You haven't done anything wrong, so.
I'd have to agree with you, because the chapel has been there for 96 years.
But he's saying he can do it by himself. He doesn't need any help.
The chapel has been there for 96 years, and prior to these parking regulations, as many of you may know, things were even more difficult, because across the street from this Protestant non-denominational Lakeside Chapel was a Catholic chapel for decades. And the two chapels worked it out great. Services at one chapel were held at one time, and then an hour plus later they were held across the street at the other one. So there weren't, you know, competitions for parking places. They alternated, worked together well. Somehow all the needs were met over time.
So instead of Cleverdale Chapel, that was probably Ripley Point Chapel, right?
There you go. And so I would submit to you that there certainly are ways to work this out, because it has worked for only 96 years. So I'm not seeing it as quite the problem that perhaps some others may. We're glad to work on that and to find positive solutions to it, but we think they need to be balanced solutions. As you know from having been there, and has been mentioned here, a great many of the driveways, especially on the east side of Cleverdale Road, tend to come up in kind of a wide way that eliminates the opportunity for parking in many areas. And so that needs to be part of what we take a close look at when we start limiting which areas can be done. And certainly the trees that you mentioned are a concern, and that's something that's been worked around. I guess the other thing that might help in kind of how we focus on this is to recognize that the no parking exclusion, or in other words, permission to park along Cleverdale Road, where no parking is the rule all the way down the road, is for 2 hours, basically for 10 Sundays in the summer, 20 hours a year, versus 8,766 hours in the year. So we're not talking a big percentage here, a tiny fraction of 1%.
The point to that, though, is that, you know, you're talking the busiest, most heavily populated time of the year. So this is where you have all of your fire and EMS calls, and we've had complaints from the UPS driver that couldn't get through on a Sunday. So I've heard. So, you know, again, I'm hearing this all from an individual. Typically in the past, anytime that we've had requests like this, I request a petition to see if there is really, you know, other people that feel the same way. Once again, failed to do that, and you know, egg on my face for that as well. But this is 2 years in the making, and conversations with our highway superintendent and deputy highway superintendent, who said, you know, it's not going to work. So, but it's something that, you know, I felt strongly enough, and we walked it and said, you know, it's a simple solution, just alternate the parking, that's all.
It's great to hear that some thought has gone into this. We appreciate that. We regret that we weren't aware of it, seeing as the exclusion from the no parking is simply for the services at Lakeside Chapel. So we're very interested to stay very closely tied.
You can, afterwards, or somehow leave us your contact information, and we'll get in touch with you.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to speak to this? Oh, okay.
Stay up, John.
Stay up.
I'm sorry, John, you want to sit down?
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Greg Sherry. I reside at 358 Cleverdale Road.
Greg?
Greg
Yeah, I got Greg.
Sherry.
Okay. Thank you.
358 is the southern neighbor to the Lakeside Chapel. I've lived there for 33 years. As I read through the proposal, I understood the thought process behind it, and I too, as my friends, agree with the thought process. But some provision has to be made to expand the ideas that you have. And one of the ideas that I have is if you went down further towards Mason Road and included the east side of Mason Road down to 338 Cleverdale Road, that will alleviate a lot of the alternate ideas that you've had and put all the parking on the east side. And I think that might be a good
So
solution.
you're saying to allow parking down that way?
Yep.
And that too is a perfect solution.
With the exception, you know, the Sunday exception.
Yep.
Have it run right down to Mason Road, keep everybody on the east side.
Yep.
East
But
side of Cleverdale Road?
Cleverdale Road. I live on the east side as well.
So I thought that the parking sign started on Mason Road. Are you saying the no parking except for Sunday started at Mason Road?
Now, the exception signs start at 349.
So you're saying go south of there?
Go south of that.
That's,
And that'd open up some tremendous parking. There's not a lot of driveway issues there, and there's not a lot of fences and hedgerows and things that you need to navigate
a lot of
on.
money, because we'll take the signs that are no parking by there, and we'll swap them out with the ones that are no parking
Yeah.
except for
All right.
Sunday.
Well, I think that's...
Well, while you're at it, you should probably take all the no parking signs down from Mason Road to Cleverdale Store.
Well, you can't do that. And do you know, people complain about those no parking signs. The unfortunate thing is that since a resolution was passed to put them up, they have to be so many feet. So that's the only thing you see for a mile is no parking signs.
Yeah.
What is it, every 50 feet or something?
The no parking, I think, is like 100 feet.
100 feet. It's ridiculous.
Mhm.
I get it, but you can't do anything about it. People are like, take half of them down, but you can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyways, it sounds like everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at your idea while we're there.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
John Salvador, I'm a resident in North Queensbury. The Cleverdale Road is a town road by use, which means there's no deed in it right away. The highway law holds that a road by use that has been maintained by the highway superintendent for a period of 10 years shall be opened to 3 routes. If you did that, you'd have all the space you need for parking. Thank you.
Thank you. He was just suggesting that we make it a dedicated road, which is 3 rods, which is basically a 50-foot right
You
away.
can't make a road by use to a deeded road unless you have a deed.
I know, it depends on what attorney you talk to, but my attorneys say, no, you can't do that. But Washington County, they seem to have a different point of view. But anyway.
I would agree with our county.
Yeah. Anybody else like to speak to this? Okay, thoughts from the town board. Let me read these two before you do, can I? I've gotten 2 emails today. One from Ellen Weatherby McDivitt. Mr. Stroud, members of the town board, I'm writing in response to proposed resolution concerning parking regulations on Cleverdale Road. I am on the board of trustees for the Lakeside Chapel, which is located on the east side of Cleverdale Road, close to the northern tip of the point. I would like to express my concern about amendments to parking regulations that may affect people attending Sunday services and other related church events. It is important that people are permitted to park within walking distance to the church, thereby making it essential that parking be allowed along the east side of Cleverdale Road for all church-related services. Over 4 generations of Cleverdale and surrounding residents have participated in services at the Lakeside Chapel. It has provided people with a deep sense of community and spiritual satisfaction. If parking becomes limited for church events, it will have a significant deleterious effect on people's ability to attend, and thank you. And another email from William Weatherby. John, this message is intended for you and the town board. I regret that I am unable to attend the town board meeting due to family considerations, but if I could, I would express my profound reservations about the board's resolution to alter parking provisions on Cleverdale Road and thereby impact accessibility of those who wish to attend the Lakeside Chapel, of which I am a trustee. I realize that emergency services, no doubt, trumps all considerations and bears an imprint that is virtually sacred. However, it is indeed curious that parking regulations, which for decades have been totally and flagrantly ignored with impunity, suddenly require surgery, much to the detriment of an institution which has tried to serve the greater Cleverdale community and its citizens for nearly a century while being a good citizen to all. It is indeed unfortunate that we learned, purely by coincidence, of this measure yesterday, and that no chapel representative was ever contacted or given the opportunity to interact with respect to the challenges this new restrictive action will pose for the chapel and those who elect to attend its services. From my own purely personal perspective, not as a trustee, this is a classic example of governmental overreach and overreach to the concerns of citizens after years of total indifference to an earlier enacted and ineffective legislative act. Thanks for whatever consideration or attention this engenders, Bill Weatherby. Okay. So I'm going to leave the public hearing open. What do you think, Tony? We'll do some more homework?
Absolutely.
And we'll try and get the firemen involved and see. Well, let's go. I mean, there are ideas out there. Mr. Young, Mr. Torrent, Mr. Sherry, you know, we'll meet with them. I'm thinking about going up Sunday myself. It wouldn't be bad to hit the service as well. I could use it.
If I walked in, it would fall down.
If I can find parking. All right, well, I appreciate the public's input, and hopefully we'll come up with something that will be satisfactory. You're never going to make everybody happy, but maybe we can make most people happy. Okay, so is it okay with the rest of the board if we kind of hold this like Tim had suggested? Leave it open? Yeah. Okay. So I'll leave the public hearing open on this matter, and we'll just move on, right, Kara? Yep. Okay.
Onward and upward.
All right. Next, we do a segment on resolutions. We have before us 9 resolutions, and I'm going to describe each resolution and give the public an opportunity to speak to any of the resolutions before us tonight. Now, if there is another town matter that you wish to talk to the town board about that isn't per se on the resolutions, you'll be welcome to do so, but that opportunity will be towards the end of the meeting, okay? So I'll go on to describe Resolution 4.1. Karen?
Resolution authorizing advertisement for bids for traffic signal upgrades at intersection of Bay Road with Bay Bridge Drive and Willowbrook Road.
All right. Many members of the public have been asking for this traffic signal on Bay Road, Bay Bridge Drive, and Willowbrook for a long time. So we finally had a previous resolution before us to secure Barton and LaJudas to design a system that has some pedestrian accommodations to it. The design has been done, and the bid preparation has been done, and now it's time to go out to bid. So this is a resolution. If the town board approves this, then we'll go out to advertise for bids for a new signal system on the intersection of Bay Bridge and Witherbrook. Resolution 4.2.
Resolution authorizing hiring of Tyson Converse as full-time laborer for town water department.
All right, the water superintendent had a vacancy. It was for a full-time laborer position in the water department. The water superintendent has done resumes, interviewed candidates, and has chosen to seek the authorization from this board to hire Tyson Converse as the full-time laborer. If we pass this resolution, then Tyson will have to successfully complete a pre-employment physical and background check as necessary to judge fitness. Resolution 4.3.
Resolution authorizing renewal of shared services agreement between the town of Queensbury and New York State Department of Transportation.
All right, we've done this. We're a little bit late in getting this one, and they gave us an option of doing this for 4 years instead of every year. This is a shared services agreement with the New York State Department of Transportation. Should there be a situation where they need our services and or equipment, we would offer those. We would share those with them up to an approximate amount of $10,000. The same thing, if we needed the equipment and or services of the New York State Department of Transportation, we could indeed get those up to a value of $10,000. So this is a shared municipality kind of thing between the municipality and the state. State and municipality wish to share services, exchange or lend materials or equipment which shall promote and assist maintenance of state and municipal roads and highways and provide a cost savings by maximizing the effective utilization of both parties' resources. Okay? And we're talking about services, materials, and or equipment. Now, the provider's employees shall remain under the full supervision of the control of the provider. In other words, if we're providing people to help the state in a particular, I'm assuming, emergency situation, then Tom would still be the supervisor of our employees. The borrowed machinery or equipment, if it's damaged or otherwise needs repair arising out of or in connection with the recipient's use, the recipient shall be responsible for such repairs. So if we borrow something from the state, we damage it, we'll be responsible for that, and vice versa. All right, so like I said, it's a renewal, and Tom and I agreed that it would probably be better to do it for a 4-year term. It's a good thing, and rather than doing it every year. We do have that option of just doing it for 1 year, but it just makes more sense than doing it for. Resolution 4.4.
Resolution authorizing award of bid for traffic signal upgrades at intersection of Aviation Road and Queensbury Union Free School District main entrance.
Yes.
Finally.
A lot of people are going to be very happy. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If I had $1 for everybody that complained about that traffic light in front of the school, the main entrance to the Queensbury school system on Aviation Road and the church, I would have a vote on Lake George, okay? Finally, we're getting it resolved. Now, we could have gotten it resolved before, but it would have been a Band-Aid and I think a waste of taxpayers' money if we put an upgrade to the signalization that would not work for the full package. So AGFTC, which is the Adirondack Glens Falls Transportation Council, had Barton and Judas for their standard engineers on this matter. The school had their engineers, I think it was Great Manning. The engineering groups got together and did a study of that corridor in front of the school, current situations and with improvements. Current situations, we all know that that corridor fails at the AM and PM peaks. And generally, what's causing the failure is the traffic flow in and out of the school system, but along with the ambient traffic. So we have a system whereby phase one is upgrading the new signals in a manner that would allow the other two phases to occur, and we would not need to replace the equipment that we're putting in because we're planning this whole thing. Phase two, which may or may not work in this arrangement, phase two is titled phase two, and it is the right-hand turning lane for westward traffic on Aviation Road that is intending on entering the school property from the eastern entrance. I say eastern entrance because part of the internal management of the school is they have one entrance, one main entrance, and that has been a problem. So the traffic engineers and the school and the town, we all worked together. We came up with a second entrance that would be off Cottage Road and would be a second major entrance, a western entrance to the school system. So the cars that are eastward bound with the intent of going to the school would not clash with the cars that are westward bound with the intent of going to the school at one intersection. They would each have their own intersections. So we did the traffic analysis of this, and it came out very good. Even in the worst scenarios, even with a growth of 0.5% a year, 10 years from now, you're still looking at a level C of service. All right, now traffic management goes, level A is absolutely ideal. There's no waiting time, traffic flow is perfect, and so forth. B, it's still pretty darn good. C is even good. D is you're starting to see some waiting times and some issues. And then F, it's a failing system. We are currently experiencing F at times. This new three-phased approach solves that problem. I didn't want to put equipment in that we'd have to put another equipment in 2 years. I wanted to put equipment in that, one, will accommodate the right-hand turning lane and will speak to and communicate with the other intersection signalization so that the two are coordinated. This allows for all of that to take place. So now we've had the design, we've opened the bids, and the winning bidder, we had two bidders. The winning bidder was Stilsing Electric at $37,500. Interesting. The other bidder, Syracuse Signal Systems, was at $38,952. Very close. Stilsing tends to be more local, and that's good, but it was also the lower of the two bids by just a little bit. So this is the award, the installation and upgrading of the traffic signals to Stilsing Electric. 4.5.
Resolution approving audit of bills warrant of August 22nd, 2017.
Okay, a warrant run of August 17th and a payment date of August 22nd totaling $436,308.15. Resolution 4.6.
Resolution authorizing waiver of 30-day notification required by New York State Liquor Authority in connection with Buck's Tavern, LLC.
Okay. Buck's Tavern. Never heard of it? Well, you will. It was the Blue Moose Tavern. As you know, the Blue Moose Tavern went south, so to speak. And some people, I'm not sure if it's both owners or one of the owners, and anyhow, I'll say Bogey's owners, want to open it. And they want to open it September 4th. So they would like us to waive the 30-day notification period for their liquor license. And this is a resolution to waive that to enable them to get open ASAP. They're already in there working, and we have a letter of request from them to do so. And so that's what that resolution is to waive 30-day notification required. 4.7.
Resolution authorizing Town Highway Department to outsource paving to Peckman Road Corporation.
Okay. Superintendent of Highway for the town of Queensbury is Tom Van Esch. Tom said with the and Tom's here tonight if we have any questions for him, but he said with the storm events and other stormwater things that we've had our guys working on, we were behind a little bit. And Superintendent Van Ness wants to get the paving done. He's got CHIP money to do that. So, and we're also allowed, the county does not do a lot of their own paving. They outsource their paving. So they did a bidding procedure for the paving and for the grinding. We were allowed to piggyback off that if we want. So Highway Supervisor Tom Van Ness would like to use, like I said, the piggyback off the county, which Peckham has done. And Peckham is offered to full plane down some of our streets, pave some of our streets, and so forth, for a total of $397.27. I'm sure the question's going to come up. We're talking about our Parkview. We're talking about part of Dixon Road. We're talking about Hughes Court, Queensbury Place, and part of Luzerne Road, right? And for details, the highway superintendent's here, maybe the public will ask, but this is a resolution authorizing the town highway department to outsource their paving to Peckham Road Corporation to do essentially what I kind of generally outlined. Okay? Resolution 4.8.
Resolution authorizing hiring of Diana Talion as temporary part-time confidential administrative assistant in Town Highway Department.
All right, our town administrative assistant, highway department, has left. We are going to put notice in the paper with the skill sets needed for this job. That takes time. The former confidential administrative assistant was Diana Taylor. Diana has agreed, and thank goodness, to come back and help us until we can get the replacement for our administrative assistant. So this is a resolution authorizing the highway department to go ahead and hire Diana Talon at a rate of $20 per hour, not to exceed 30 hours a week. It's going to be part-time. But it will help the highway department tremendously, especially with somebody with her knowledge. How many years did she do it prior?
Probably 12 or 14.
Yeah, many years. So she comes in with a lot of good institutional knowledge that I think will be very helpful at this point. It's not like we don't have enough to do, huh? Resolution 4.9, and the last one, Karen.
Resolution affirming adoption of Warren County pre-disaster multi-jurisdictional hazardous mitigation plan.
All right, so the county puts together a hazard mitigation plan, and one section of it, in this case it's section 9.11, deals with the town of Queensbury. This board, I sent this out to them a while back. They've had a chance to review this, and if they had any issues with it, it's based on 2015 data. I know I got some people saying, well, it's not up current. No, the 2016 data will be in next year's, which will be asked to upgrade that. This is 2015 data. All right, so, and our affirming and the adoption of this allows us to get FEMA monies and so forth. So those are the 9 resolutions before the town board tonight. Before I have a public opportunity to speak to them, any town board member have any thoughts before?
No.
Okay. Any member of the public wish to speak to any of the 9 resolutions before the town board tonight? Yes, sir.
George Winters, 4 John Clendon Road in Queensbury. How about the full-time labor from the water department? Is he replacing somebody that retired?
I'm not sure how that vacancy happened.
I believe it probably is. We've had 3 or 4
Probably, but I don't
people
wanna say
retired
for
in the
sure.
last several months, George.
Yeah.
I can find out for you and give you a call.
Yeah, because the only thing
I'm pretty much sure it's not a new position, so it's
Right.
replacing somebody that either left for retirement or maybe was left for other reasons.
Because I don't think it's necessary to have a new...
It's not a new position.
Okay.
I can tell you that it's either somebody that left on their own accord, that they retired, or maybe didn't leave on their own accord.
Yeah.
But it's not a new position.
Okay. And 4.7, outsourcing the paving of the road. How much more is that going to cost us than if our town people did it?
I don't know. I can ask Tom to speak to that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's us.
And then 4.8, every time somebody retires from the town now, we bring them in and they're part-time. We had, was it Shear up to the dump? He was there for 3 years because nobody could learn how to file the papers and stuff. It looks to me like we're getting a pattern now.
Well, in the transfer station, we have people that work just Saturdays. They don't work for us full-time. They don't want to work full-time. They just want like a second job, and it's working Saturdays from 7:15 till 3, and that's what they want. And it works for us too, because we don't have to hire a full-time position and give them all the benefits and everything else, so
Yeah,
that works.
What I'm saying is Shear worked there for a long time. Then he retired, and they kept him on another 3 years.
Yeah, we did that because no one else wanted his job that knew his job. So here we get his expertise. We don't have to pay him
benefits,
any of the extra benefits. It actually was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, but this here sounds like a pattern to me.
Well, in this case with the highway department, it's to pick up for somebody who just left. I'm not going to go into the details about it. It's a personnel issue. They just left. And not because of necessarily anything that any of us did. It's just the way it is. So now we need somebody immediately in the position, and who better than somebody that was in the position. And so it's going to be hard part-time until we hire somebody full-time.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Anybody else wish to speak to any of the resolutions before us? Okay, seeing none.
Do you want to have...
Yeah, have Tommy answer the question as to how much it's going to be.
Oh, yes, Tom?
I can't give you an answer on that right now, John, because I don't know what it would cost us to do it ourselves. I can get that figure for you tomorrow.
Okay.
Take care of that tomorrow and get figure out what it would cost for us to do it and the time that it would take us to do it.
All right.
Would all add into that.
Do you have a list of the roads, Tommy?
Huh?
You have a list of the roads, correct?
Right. I mean, we'd have to contract the grinding out anyways because we don't have a grinder.
Right.
But I'll figure out what it would cost us to pave the roads.
And part of the problem is that you didn't want to set this off for another year. You want to get these jobs done this year.
I want to get these jobs done. I don't want to lose state money that we're getting to do our roads. And I'm afraid if we didn't use it, we would end up losing it altogether.
All right,
I don't want to lose the money we're getting from our state to help us maintain our roads.
So let's put that in the formula too. Money, if we don't get these roads done this year, we might lose some money. All right. Yeah, that July's rainstorm knocked us for a loop. But we're back on track, and this will help you out if we pass it here tonight. All right. Any town board member wish to have one of these or any of these resolutions polled for a separate roll call vote?
No.
Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve resolutions 4.1 through 4.9?
I do.
Okay. Motion put forward by Councilman Brewer.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Medavere. Roll call vote on resolutions 4.1 through 4.9.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Mr. Medavere?
Yes.
Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
Okay, any correspondence?
No.
Privilege of the floor. Talk to the town board about any town board matter. Is there any member of the public that wishes to say something to the town board at this time? Yes, sir.
Travis Whitehead. I'm just going to take the opportunity here. Tommy's here, and this is an issue that I've talked to Doug Irish about before, and I don't, Doug's not around very much anymore. I just want to make sure this doesn't get forgotten. But I know Doug had talked to you, had mentioned that the county goes ahead and pays every town except Queensbury, who hasn't participated, a certain amount of money to do the snow plowing and road maintenance. And actually those rates have been increased several times in the last year, and they seem that the other towns seem that it's pretty beneficial for them. So the question is, would it be beneficial for us?
We've looked at that more than once.
Okay.
And it doesn't even come close to being what it would cost us to do their roads.
Okay, so you're saying it's better?
It's cheaper for the people in Queensbury to let the county do the county roads. Tom, we've talked about this more than once, and I'm stating the summary of it.
The roads that they want us to take are big roads,
Yep.
like Quaker Road,
West Mountain.
West Mountain Road.
Bay Road.
Bay Road.
Yes.
Quaker Road is a 3-truck road, so we would have to have 3 more trucks, 3 more drivers just to maintain Quaker Road in the wintertime, which would be outrageous when you put them on with what it costs for the benefits and stuff. And what they're paying, I don't believe would cover what we would have to put on.
It's just coming through.
We have right now 18 plow weeks that take us 3.5 to 4 hours to do each route. To add those on there, we would have to add manpower and equipment. The trucks are over $200,000 a piece now. I've gone by 3 trucks, they're $600,000 just to start. You know, that's not including maintenance and fuel and stuff. And then the man hours involved. They're not paying enough, I don't believe, to cover all that expense.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to ask the question. I've asked it several times.
It's a good question. We looked into it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Rachel Siebert, Queensbury, Supervisor at Large. I have a different issue I want to talk about, but Tom, I don't know when the last time you guys checked that rate, but I think last year we had a resolution that changed the rate, because I know some of the towns said it wasn't matching.
Right, but I still don't see where it's going to cover it. We'd have to buy all the new equipment, putting out more manpower, plus the added salt and sand that we would have to, and they would require us to use grade salt.
Right.
Right now, the town we're spending over $200,000 a year just salt now, and you had those.
No, and that's
roads.
fine. I just wanted to let you know, I know they
Yeah.
did a big increase on that rate reimbursement
We
recently.
look at it all the time, keep track of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Good.
Yeah, I shared
Thank
that
you.
increase.
My reason that I wanted to come up and talk to you tonight was about a month ago I came to you and I asked and conveyed concerns that we had in our community regarding signs on lawns and signs at businesses. And I know you guys said you put it on for the workshop. I think I saw a draft agenda, then it was removed off the workshop. And so I'm asking if it's possible to have that put back on a workshop. I was contacted again the other day leaving the county building by someone who said it was a touching story and one that I think many small business owners, particularly those that are younger, experience. He put a sign out, or the dad did, for his son, a couple signs on his lawn, affordable lawn care. And instead of getting a note or a phone call to his house saying, we're going to take the sign, or some door knocker that says, please remove this, you can't have the sign, they were just gone. And he did contact his councilman. They do live over in Ward 3. He was told about the strict enforcement of the lawn signs. And I just, I called over to find out how long those signs are kept for, and it's only about a week. By the time people figure out that it's not vandalism and somebody that they don't know is taking it, it turns out the town is taking it. So the signs aren't kept for that long. And I just wondered if there's a way to have a discussion about perhaps a policy with personal property, you know, within the dwelling. I've talked to a couple people about it. Maybe it could be a little bit closer to the house. Or perhaps having a policy where a phone call is made or a door knocker is left or something so that people know what's going on other than just seeing someone get out of a car and take the signs. So I was disappointed to see it not on the agenda, but wondering if you consider putting it on in the next few weeks.
Yes, I had it on the agenda, but there were other items that came up, and I'm trying to limit the length of the meeting, and this isn't something that is earth-shaking and has to be solved if there is a problem with it, which I'm not sure there is. But I'm willing to listen to some thought process on this, and I do have it on September 20th workshop agenda.
Okay, is that agenda?
Again, as long as we don't get overloaded, that's currently what's planned.
Is that agenda public? I haven't seen that agenda, so I didn't know it was on for
Still under
September 20th.
manufacturer. The agenda for which are fluid and change right up to 2 or 3 days before the workshop.
You know, John, I just felt bad because I had told a lot of people about it, you know, the date and the time, and then it got moved. So I understand
Well, it
it
wasn't
changes,
official.
but
Whatever you saw was
yeah.
just a draft, and it must have had the big word draft on it. So.
well, I think people are just looking to plan, and it being in the summer and not having too many workshops, they want to try to attend. So the more notice, the better would be great. And you know, I think there's a lot of people that just would like to be heard about it, or maybe have you guys discuss it, like we heard here tonight. They just want to know what's going on.
Well,
and
tentatively for the 20th.
Okay, I know those meetings go late. I know the last one must have been about 10 o'clock, but it is something that it's interesting to hear people keep talking about how upset they are. They're just losing signs. And that sign for that small business guy that just started his business, a young kid, it was $30 a sign. We're all used to ordering them in bulk, and I think you guys were also going to look into that allowance for political signs, because as I understand it right now, there isn't one other than the court case. But our policies in Queensbury haven't been updated to reflect that. I just think it needs to be fair for everybody, and I appreciate it being on the agenda.
I've had a couple of contractors talk to me about that too.
Okay.
One or two, so
Good.
I think it'd be a good thing to have in a workshop.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else like to speak to the town board about any town issues? George, Catherine.
Hello, Catherine Atherton. I'm a member of the Tri-County New York Transition Group, AKA Transition, and I spoke a couple of weeks ago very, very quickly to thank the board for being involved with the creation of the Queensbury Clean Energy Committee. But I thought about it afterwards and thought that one of our tasks really is to begin to educate the public that this committee actually exists and what we're going to be doing on this committee. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit more about how it was created and what we plan to do at the moment. So it was created as a result of a group of citizens getting together and creating a forum that was held on June 20th, where both DEC with the Climate Smart program and NYSERDA with the Clean Energy program came and presented to a group of citizens. And it all started as a result of that. That was organized by Transition. And so at that time, folks that were interested in pursuing it from both Queensbury and Glens Falls signed up. And as a result, there's been a committee started with elected officials and citizens here in Queensbury and also in Glens Falls. And they're more toward pursuing Climate Smart at the moment, and we're more, we're pursuing the Clean Energy program. So it is a NYSERDA program, and there's lots of information about it on the website. Our first order of business is to work toward getting a $50,000 grant, which means we have to achieve 4 of the high-impact actions that are specified by NYSERDA. So these are in process. And all of these actions are actually a win-win. They provide both an economic and an environmental benefit. And if anybody would like to get more information, we've met twice, and we're meeting pretty regularly every 2 weeks. And I guess we meet again next week. So if anybody wants some more information, they can contact Kathy Bizzoni or myself to get more information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, ma'am, can you spell your last name for me?
Yes. Atherden.
Thank you.
Any other member of the public wish to speak to the town board? Yes, George.
George Winters, 4 John Clendon Road. Are we going to replace Irish before the end of the year?
I don't know. He doesn't tell me when he's going to be here or when he's not here, and so I don't know.
Oh, he hasn't resigned?
He hasn't resigned, no.
Oh, okay.
If he does, we will, George.
Yeah, but going to say it's, about a half a year, so.
Yeah. You interested?
Yeah. No, thanks.
Okay, any other member of the public wish to speak to the town board about town topic? Okay, seeing none, let's go to town board discussions. This time, we'll start with Tim.
I've been on this town board for 15 years or so, and this is the first time ever, John Salvador, you could come up and open session and talk to us. You all right? Okay, just want to make sure. It's the first time ever. I guess it's the first time for everything in there. That's all I got.
All right, well, thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
I'm fine for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, Tony?
I meant to bring an article with me that Don Lehman wrote. It wasn't an article, it was more of an editorial about a really tragic accident that occurred on Route 149 a couple weeks ago. He was at the scene pretty quickly on when he heard the calls go out, because he listens to a scanner, and witnessed firsthand how Bay Ridge, and particularly the Mellons, reacted to a horrific situation. And if you didn't read the editorial, go find it. It was probably one of the finest pieces of literature I've seen in recent years. Just saying, we're so fortunate, and I was thinking about this from what you were talking about a few weeks ago. We are very fortunate with the volunteers that we have and the training that they go through. I've seen these Bay Ridge a couple nights this week as I'm coming home from my 14 jobs training over by the highway department. I don't exactly know what they're doing, but I saw an awful lot of young individuals with them, so I'm sure they're recruiting more fire persons. Go read Don's editorial and just think about it for a second, how fortunate we are to have all the fire departments. I'm not just singling out the Mellons, but it just so happens that he watched them in action. But we are very fortunate that we have all the volunteer fire and EMS folks that we do that do the great jobs that they do, and saved his life. And not quite sure how the woman's doing, but she's still alive, so kudos to them.
Yeah, well, and we are fortunate to have
We probably don't say it enough,
great
Tony.
fire and EMS team, so I'll second that. I'm glad you brought it up.
Make a donation.
Make
a donation.
I do.
I do too.
All 5 fire companies and 3 EMS squads on a regular basis. Thank you, Tony. That was a good point. Talking about donations, was that it, Tony?
Yes.
Okay. Megan Sergey, remember?
Mm-hmm.
She's the one that, you make enough donations. So I made a donation, and I got a thank you card from her. Hopefully she has enough to make it down to that Macy's Day Parade.
I get one from you as well.
Okay, good. Thank you. Let me go through these things. Wood chips. We got wood chips on the Ridge Road transfer station site, and we've got so many, we're running out of room. Last time I made this announcement, I asked Rich Paris, who was the director of our transfer stations, and he says, yeah, for about 2 weeks we had a run, and we got a little bit of space. And Tom, when you guys get freed up, maybe sometime this fall, maybe bring a bulldozer up, maybe make some more room up there. I'll talk to you about that. This is an unfortunate thing. Our feeder canal park on Richardson Street is getting vandalized over and over and over again. And there's kids there who are using abusive and profane language. We're trying to get the police to do a little bit more with it, but we're getting complaints, and legitimately so. So we've sent letters out, or Steve Lovering, who was the director of Park and Recreation, to the Canal Corporation, to the state police, to the local police. And then we have these complaints, large group of kids near bridge acting in menacing way towards trail users, purposely getting in their way with their bicycles, climbing the fence to the dam.
John, I can...
I mean, and the complaints...
I can speak to that. We planted trees down there originally when we first did that park, and they would break the trees, and it's just it's amazing what they do. They break furniture that we put down there. Somebody's got to say something to them, or when they see them, they got to call the police and report them, because it's just, it never ends.
Well, and it's getting reported as kids.
Yeah.
And parents, ask your kids, are you hanging around at the Feeder Canal Park over on Richardson Street? And what are you doing down there? Because sometimes peer pressure might be the best thing. Most of the kids are good kids.
Most of them are.
So if you could have the good kids help out, I mean, this is just very unfortunate. We get all these, I'm flipping them all. I'm not going to read you every complaint and what the kids are doing down there, but this is horrible. All right. Maybe I figure if I went out to the public, maybe do something about it. All right. Tommy, I'm glad you're here tonight. Ann Kokosa of Heinrich Street. So that cleanup after the big storm, she wants to thank the Highway Department via me, so thank you. Yeah. Glens Falls Symphony thanks this town board and the town for their support. Announcement Tuesday, August 29th, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. We're looking for citizens that want to just help out. I do it every year. We do a stream cleanup of Halfway Brook. And, you know, there's only about 5 of us that show up and do this. It'd be nicer to have more people to do it. So, again, if you're interested, it's Tuesday the 29th between 1 and 3 p.m. Meet us at the Hovey Pond Park, and we'll go from there at 1 p.m. Meet us there if you're willing to help clean up. Okay, and last is the supervisor's report to the board community, and I will try and hurry it along. We had our halfway Hudson Trail Connector kickoff meeting. The AGFTC is working with various groups, engineering groups, state groups, town groups, in trying to get an interconnected trail system in the town of Queensbury. Also that day, I made a local history presentation on the Great Carry, the military road. And Wednesday, the August 9th, I met with town council. We talked about a whole bunch of legal issues before the town. Thursday, August 10th, I met with owner of National Business. They're the people that we get our printers from. And we discussed ways of trying to save money. Color costs are like 9.5 cents a copy. Black and white are like 2 cents a copy. I would like to get set up a printing system so color isn't so easy and black and white is more the default. And also our larger printers cost less than our smaller printers. So if they're going to be running any major jobs, I would like to get a standard setup. So he says there's software that can help us save money. And so he said, well, make an offer to me. I met with Cemetery Superintendent Connie Geddert. There's some work that needs to be done at the cemetery. She wants to do some bulldozing around the new sections. She needs a new storage building. The 2 dilapidated ones that she has, they need to be just taken out. There's no saving them. You can hear the termites taking them down for us. She'd like to look at getting a new storage building. And I talked about this before with Tom, and as soon as we slow down a little bit, maybe we could widen that eastern entryway, the one that goes into the crematorium. Just that one section, if we can widen that, and I know we got to work with the county and get a little bit more conduit there. And Friday, August 11th, just did town work, paperwork. Saturday, I went to South Q's barbecue fundraiser. They have the best chicken barbecue. You missed it this year, catch it next year. It's also a big fundraiser for them. August 13th, Sunday, I did another fundraiser with the Open Door Mission, and they asked me to bring down my new 1929 Model A Ford. And so my wife and I dressed in period clothing, and we went down there, and they were very thankful. But I'm even more thankful of the job Kim Cook and the others do at the Open Door Mission. And I'm also thankful for you know, everything that they do for the larger community. Tony DeSere was there. On Monday, August 14th, we had a county last chance meeting for people that weren't caught up on their taxes, and most of them worked out an agreement to do that. That worked out well. I'm on the board for the Adirondack Housing Association, so I had that meeting. EDC, we talked about the draft RFP document we have for the exit 20 corridor. What we're going to do is, the intent of this study is try and review the impacts, including traffic, of current and future economic development on the Route 9 corridor going from 149 southward to Sweet Road. So both of you will be invited to future meetings, because the southern part's in your ward and the northern part's in your ward. We had a town board workshop that night, Monday, August 14th, and we had a representative from the Suez Corporation, SUEZ, Roger Linder, and he was talking to us about the advantages of outsourcing our water tank management and maintenance program. We have 4 steel tanks and 1 concrete tank. If this kind of money will save, if this kind of proposal will save the town money, we are interested in it. The preliminary information on the matter appears promising. Further details are forthcoming. Kathy Bozzoni gave the town board an update on her CFA Rockhurst application. She put in a proposal for a grant to seek some funding for a permeable surface for part of Rockhurst Road. If she gets the grant, it'll come to this board, and if you like what it says, then you can approve it, we can go ahead. If you don't like what it says, then we'll say, well, thank you, but no thank you. Kathy Bozzoni is also putting together a septic database for the town's Lake George shoreline properties, and that's underway. We discussed a proposed property transfer law. The draft is closer to being a product. We will offer to the public, and I give you a summary of where we are on that, and I'm looking for feedback from some of you on that as we go forward. And we might have this law pretty much intact and have a public hearing on it to get the public's input maybe in October. We discussed potential remedies for the challenges we are having with our chipping and grinding contracts and arrangements that we have with Dick and Rick Sears. We're going to do a site visit on that soon. Victoria's supposed to be arranging that, so we'll go up and take a look at it. Tim and I were talking about it this afternoon. Also, we talked about the occupancy tax. I suggested some language changes in our the intent and purpose of our application. And we also discussed what kinds of expertise we might want to see on the members of a proposed town occupancy tax allocation advisory committee. August 15th, Tuesday, I met with Kathy Bozzoni and Jim Liebram, and we took a look at Assembly Point Road and discussed what options we could do there. I had a tour of the ESMI site tour. we're looking for some kind of an entity, and we've looked at a variety of them, to take care of our biosolids, especially those coming out of our waste treatment plant. Same thing with Washington County District 2. They're looking for someplace. So ESMI, and we looked at other proposals as well, might have a valid proposal for us as we move forward in looking to seek to do something with our biosolids. At the same time, and ESMI said they're open to it, we would like to see if we can, because the product of their treatment of our biosolids would be just a basic inert substance. Now, could we have a place that took our brush, that took our chips, that took our grindings, and made use of it, like amendments to this product that ESMI produces, which is a basically inert substance, to make it a Class A type of soil that can be used out in the field? And the other thing is, can we expand that further and start taking food waste? Because that seems to be where we're going to go in the future, especially your institutional food waste. If you go out there and you see a dumpster of totally, thrown out food that could be used as an organic amendment to the soil to enrich in it, why aren't we using it? Why are we just taking it away and burning it up or putting it in a landfill and capping it and costing everybody money? This is something that could be recycled. So ESMI was open to that. All right, I went to the county's EMS meeting, and no good ideas came up from that. Then we did some site visits with Dennis McElroy, and we visited the Snyder site, the Sealy site, the Serini site. On Wednesday, I met with some people on Hicks Road. They have a fence in our water line right away, and we're working on a compromise that will get it out of our ability to work on a water line. Yep, they'll be able to keep the fence. Had some personnel issues come through the office. Went to the Warren County Career Center summer picnic. I want to thank Chris Hunsinger for everything he does and the people that work for him. His youth summer program is a big, huge success. And we got to see that firsthand by attending the award ceremony. We reviewed the bids for the Aviation Road, Queensbury Union Free School District entrance traffic signal improvements. And then CEC, Clean Energy Communities, had a meeting that day. It was our second meeting. We're making excellent progress, I thought. So the paperwork's done to secure the forthcoming $2,500. We discussed the future charging stations, which that $2,500 should pay for. We discussed benchmarking, and again, I want to thank Travis Whitehead for his efforts there. I know he put a lot of work in that. Energy code enforcement training is forthcoming, and Solarizing Queensbury was part of the discussion. We'll look at moving in that direction. Solarize is a local effort to try and put together potential solar customers through outreach and education, and try to help our people in our community to select competitive, pre-qualified companies. And studies have shown that this process can save them, if they're interested in putting solar up, it can save them 10 to 20% by doing this solarized process. So we're looking at that. And then I did a site visit with Brian at 50 Harris Road, Heidi Taflin's application. Thursday, August 17th, we had a Cronin Road pre-construction meeting. You showed up the wrong building, Brian. I know you intended to be there.
Did.
And I heard about it. All right, so we're looking at replacing some of the water line in two places. One of it is, let's start with the intersection of Cronin Road and Ridge Road. So we're going to move south down Ridge Road about 110 feet and replace it with 8-inch ductile. And then we're going to move west along Cronin Road from that intersection, 1,275 feet, and replace it with 8-inch ductile. So we talked to the contractors, and we insisted that we want to maintain fire hydrant flow in that area.
and that there will be signage notification prior to their beginning construction so that the neighbors and the frequent users of Cronin Road are aware that construction's forthcoming. One lane will be always open for traffic, so they're going to try and prohibit any lengthy closure of the entire road so that one lane should be open. Construction will be expected to be start sometime after Labor Day, and is expected to last about 3 weeks. Okay, because you got to do driveway and lawn restoration into that.
I talked to Chris today.
Okay. And then I did another local history presentation on Robert Rogers and his Rangers. And then I went to the SPCA fundraiser at O'Toole's. On Friday, August 18th, we had a Warren County Board of Supervisors meeting. After that, I met with Caroline Barber to discuss Buck's Tavern's resolution, to put that together for tonight. And the other members of the town clerk's office are always helpful. I met with town council Mike Crow to discuss some grievance procedures that is proceeding. And then I called Greg Royer to discuss where we are with Smart Watt. And I said, well, right now we're looking at doing our own lighting on the street lights. And so he has the investment grade audit. He wants to talk to the board in the near future. And I said, sure, I'll give you that opportunity. So Victoria's supposed to be arranging that. On August 19th, Saturday, I had a Lake George Battlefield Alliance annual meeting. I went to the Adirondack Folk School for their food festival and fundraiser. And then I went to the Under the Woods Foundation celebration fundraiser. So Saturday was all fundraising events. Sunday, I had to come here and work to catch up. And it's nice coming here and working by myself in the building next door. I got a lot done. And as you guys saw the emails. And then today I had a facilities meeting in the morning. I'm here at the town board meeting, and that's it for my supervisor's report to board and community. Sue, is there anything else for the good of the order? All right. Well, thanks, Karen. Thanks, Karen, and town board members and members of the public for coming. And thank you, Joe Barlow, the cameraman for Look TV, and thanks Look TV and the sponsors for our town board meetings, especially Stored Tech. All right, so is there a motion to adjourn?
There is.
Made by Councilman Brewer.
Who always does. I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilman Klamitz.
Let me ask you a question.
We're adjourned. Thank you for coming.
This program is underwritten by the generous support of Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
Firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.